coming here to be crowned.
We don't know exactly what happened in this temple, but we think that the king came in here during his coronation, came into this inner chamber with the god Amun, in an effigy, of course. Here, the two of them, father and son, united with the god Osiris. Osiris was the mythical first king of Egypt. And then he went forth from the temple, climbed up the steps, sat down on the throne, and became king, and got up and stood on the porch and was greeted by the mob outside as the new living god.
Over the generations, the legend of Jebel Barkal grew, and the Egyptian influence on Kush did too. Kushites embraced Egypt's religion, worshipped Amun, and even began building pyramids like their imperial masters.
I once wrote that the Kushites became the first Egyptophiles. But I think it's more complicated than that, because they were adopting a worldview that had been long established, and they saw themselves fitting into it perfectly.
Well, I think you have to look at this from the perspective of the imperial oppression. So at first, Kush was conquered by Egypt, but to survive, Kushites had to adapt themselves to Egyptian culture. So really, to put this in the parlance of modern America, they had to pass as Egyptian.
For 300 years, the Egyptians occupied Kush and imposed upon them the cult of Amun. At Jebel Barkal, a fundamentalist fervor took root. The mountain kindled the religious spark that in time Hazel picks the route, while Maddie belays from below.
Hey, I'm just going slow because I don't have any pro. It's actually like a tiny bit scary.
There's 200 feet of fragile rock between Hazel and their prize, an inscription left by one of Kush's most powerful kings.
Okay, just watch out here, Mads.
Spring-loaded cams jammed into cracks keep her roped to the wall. But there aren't enough cracks.
It looks okay. It just looks like there's no protection, you know?
Already, Hazel sees signs of massive ancient construction. Huge holes bored into solid sandstone. Once, those holes held the wooden beams of a super-sized scaffolding. Workers would have built the frame from the ground up, using a crane to hoist each beam into place. Like Hazel, their goal was the summit.
Now they're on the tricky part. It's straight up from there. There's not much to hold on to. I hope they know what they're doing.
Hazel's reached the section the climbers fear most. 30 feet of smooth limestone, with only holes left by Kushite builders to hang on to.
Ooh, oh God. Oh my God.
Finally, Hazel reaches the summit.
Okay, Maddie, I'm safe. Climb when you're ready.
Congratulations, you made it.
Now it's Maddie's turn to start up. while Hazel belays from above.
Yeah, definitely carefully going to all of these holes.
All right, I'm stomach. Yeah. Good idea to like throw out all the damp right here.
Now it's time for the real work to begin. Rappelling down the cliff face, Hazel looks for the engraving that few have seen up close since the Kushites created it more than 2,600 years ago. A bold declaration proclaiming the triumphs of